Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video with your local flow prodigy. If you are new to this channel, my name is Brendan Perez, and you can go ahead and hit that red subscribe button to see more videos like this one. So I just find it really funny, and I know most of you do too, at the fact that this video is pretty much overdue. You know what I mean? And for those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, I'm going to say about a year or two ago, I did an episode 1 of a Q&A video called Custom Boards Bodyboard Edition. And what that video was about is a bunch of you guys left some really good questions going along the lines of, hey, I want to get my own board, my own bodyboard, and I don't know where to go. I don't know how much money I should spend, how much is shipping, what type of customizations should I even do to a board? I don't know what I like. I don't know what I don't like. And things along that nature. And basically, I spend the entire video answering the questions that you guys send me. And I try to go in as much detail as I possibly can without extending the video too much. And it was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I still gave a good amount of information to the point where you guys really found it helpful. And for those of you even now who are following yourselves in the same boat, that you're getting ready to get your own bodyboard, or maybe you want to customize a board and you don't know what you want, I'm going to actually attach that video in one of these corners, and I would just suggest clicking on it, checking it out. It might be helpful to you and help pointing you in the right direction to getting your own bodyboard. But regardless, we're actually going to be doing roughly that part 2 of that video today, but stand-up edition. So here's the deal with the questions I'm going to be using in today's video. In part 1 bodyboard edition of this series, you guys asked a bunch of really good questions, and especially when I did as best as I could to go in much detail and giving you guys that helping hand for finding the board that will best work for you, you found it really helpful. So what's going to happen is I'm probably going to use a lot of those same questions today in today's video. I may or may not even add my own bonus questions that I've come up with myself that I feel will further assist you guys more in knowing what company, what board, and what customizations might work for you. Without further ado, let's get into the first question. So question number 1, when should you get your own board? Now, when it comes to getting your own board, one of the main things that you really want to keep in mind of is, let's be realistic. How often are you really going to ride? Is this something that you plan on doing once a week, once a month, once a summer, once a year? You know, if it's something you're really not going to be doing that often, you would just be wasting the money. These things are not cheap, all right? They are investments. You know what I mean? So if you're someone like me who might ride anywhere between 1 and 4 or 5 times a week, then in that case, by all means, because you're doing it fairly often enough to the point where the investment makes sense. But if it's something you don't do too often at all, why do it at all? And at that point, I would just strongly recommend just using whatever body or stand-up boards that the lifeguards give you to borrow at the park for the flow rider that you already ride. Question number 2, where can you get a board? Which also stems to a side question, what company should you order from? So unfortunately, there are only a few states in the United States that have walk-in stores, meaning that you actually can walk into the shop yourself and either order a board or customize with them online. But for the most part, with states like mine and possibly yours, who might not have that, I got my top 3 websites of boards that I like to order from, and I will be listing all 3 websites in the description down below. So website number 1 is going to be flowridershop.com. Now, I don't think Flowrider Shop customizes boards. I do see some pro models on their website, but they, for the most part, really advertise their stock boards coming out of the factory. I got to tell you right now, I've ridden all their boards. Everything they have to offer, I've seen it and done it all. Their boards are super high quality, highly recommended. Website number 2 is going to be macflowboards.com, M-A-K, macflowboards.com. Now, Mac does customize boards. They actually customized my Prodigy board as well. They have a huge variety of both signature model boards and stock boards coming out of the website as well. If you guys were interested in customizing with them, you would just have to hop on their website, hit them up in the emails, and let them know that you're interested in customizing a board with them, and they'll take care of you from there. Website number 3 is going to be Aqua Flow Boards. I actually have a new Prodigy board coming in the mail from them as well, and I'm super excited to see how it comes out. but they have an awesome variety of both signature and stock boards as well, just like MacFlow boards. They also customize boards as well, so you can just do the same thing as Mac. Hit Aquaflow boards up in the emails, let them know you're interested in customizing, and they'll take care of you from there. Next question on the list is what goes into customizing a board, and I'm actually going to be using my own personal Prodigy board as an example while we go through this question. So there's only a few things that we can really customize when doing our own board. First things up, we can do the size of the board. So in my case, I did 40 inches. We can also do a custom graphic or custom picture of our own choosing. In my case, I chose my Flow Prodigy logo from the YouTube channel. Next thing up, we can also customize the grooves. If you don't know what grooves are basically small lines and shapes on the side of the board, usually on the bottom. They usually help more with carving and the way the water feels when it's going underneath you. I don't really care too much for them. I like to have more of a smooth and slippery ride, make the board flick around as easy as possible. So I just got standard grooves. Next thing up are rails. I love rails. They're one of the best things ever that you can ever put on a board, even if you don't use them. Rails are basically small bumps that you could put on the side of the board so that when you're practicing flip tricks like kickflip, when your feet are flicking off the board to make it flip in any way that you want, it just makes it that much easier. It's kind of similar to skateboarding. Next thing that we can customize is the grip on top. Now, there are a million different type of materials and grips that you can use, but all companies, they don't always have the same amount as the next. So for me, MacFlow boards made my board. So I believe this is a new material that they are working on right now. And I've been using it for a while, and I gotta say it's one of my top favorite grips to use. I think it's triangular diamond marble shape grip. It's definitely one of their popular ones. I definitely recommend it. And then that's gonna be it. Now, to speed this video up just a little bit, I'm going to combine the next two questions. How much should you spend on a board? What's your budget? What size board should you get? And what do we mean by size? Let's get into it. So answering the first question, how much should you spend on a board? It really does depend on your own budget. Now, just to give you guys a rough guide as to how much a board can cost, when it comes to stand-up boards, a stock board coming off the website can cost anywhere from $200 to $400, just to give you guys an idea. And then when we're talking about custom boards, which is an entirely different story, these bad boys can cost anywhere from $400 to $600. For example, my Flow Prodigy board came out to around $550 around the time that I got it. Now, depending on what website you go to and how they price their boards, it can either be a little higher than that or a little lower, but that's the price range. Now, switching over into what size stand-up board you should be getting. Now, keep in mind, I'm around 6'1", 6'2". My stand-up board is 40 inches. Now, when we talk about size, we want to talk about length, top to bottom. So from the top of the board to the bottom of the board, it is 40 inches in length. Now, I want to tell you right now, there's not a lot you can do to customize in terms of asking the width of the board. All boards come with a standard 12-inch width, but in terms of what size you can get for your board, that's one of the best things that you can customize, whether it's a stock board or custom model. You can ask whatever inches that you want. I'm 6'1", 6'2" again. My board is a 40-inch board. So when you go on the website and you ask, hey, what size should I get? Hey, I want a size 40, meaning 40-inch board. Next question up, not much going into it. How do you make your board last, or how to properly take care of your board? Realistically, the only thing that you need to do is making sure that whenever you're done riding for the day, that you just take a towel and you wipe down both sides of the board, even the side rails, and that you just make sure it's completely dry before fully storing it away for the day. The only other thing that you really need to do to make sure that your board lasts is whenever you're storing your board away for the day or even for the season, you always want to make sure that you keep it in a nice, room temperatured place. You don't want to keep it in like a trunk where it could be too hot or too cold in your car. So I usually just keep it in my room, sometimes my closet, especially if I know I'm not going to be riding for a while. But not much goes into it. You just want to make sure that you wipe it down every time you're done riding, and you don't leave it in places where the temperature can be extreme on either side of the spectrum. All right, and finishing today's video with one final question of the day. how long does a board take to ship in the mail once you've already purchased it online? I know it's a really big range, but a board can really take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months to come in. Like when I ordered the Flow Prodigy board, it took 2 weeks exactly to ship over to my house in the mail. Where I know some guys who have ordered a board and it's taken them 2 months for the board to come in. And there's kind of a multitude of reasons for why there's such a big range in how long it takes for a board to ship in. It could be if you and 20 other people are customizing a board with a company all at the same time, they can't just focus on your board. They're making a bunch of boards all at the same time. It can kind of slow things down. Kind of just depends on what time of year. I usually recommend people buying a board and more in winter time because people are not really thinking about going out and riding flow when it's snowing outside. You know what I mean? So that's really it. 2 weeks to 2 months. I think that's a good range. Now, it's not to say it's exactly that. For some people, it's more. For others, it can be less. And it's happened to me on both ends of the spectrum. But that's really it. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave that thumbs up down below. And while we're still here, why don't we click on that bell-shaped icon? That's the notification bell, so you will be notified every time I upload. Now, this was part 2 of a 2-video series of a Q&A, and I am more than open to possibly doing a part 3 Q&A in the future. Now, it could be about boards, it can be about, what to wear at Flowrider and things like that. But in order to make this part 3 possibly happen, I need you guys to go ahead and hit me up in the comments down below, or even feel free to send me a DM on Instagram of questions of things that possibly I didn't cover in either part 1 or 2. So feel free to do that and we can make that part 3 happen in the future. But with that being said, final words, I'll see you guys on the next one.